All right, today we're going to tackle something that trips up a lot of Japanese learners: how to talk about what other people want. It's a really subtle but super important piece of grammar, and getting it right will make you sound so much more natural.
So, you've probably gotten pretty comfortable using the tai form for yourself, right? Saying tabetai, I want to eat. Simple enough. But what happens when you try to use that same form for your friend or your boss? Well, in Japanese, just coming out and stating someone else's desire like that can sound a little off, almost presumptuous, like you're reading their mind. So, what's the right way to do it?
This whole idea boils down to a concept called tiny no kibo, which basically means third-party desires. And the core rule here is pretty simple. You generally avoid stating someone else's inner feelings, like wanting something, as if it's a cold hard fact. Instead, your grammar has to signal how you know what they want. Are you observing their behavior, or are you just reporting something they told you?
Okay, first up, let's look at the form you'll use for observed desires. This is your go-to when you can literally see or sense what somebody wants, based purely on their actions or how they appear.
The structure for this is pretty straightforward. You take the verb stem, that's the part of the verb before you add masu, and you just attach tagatte imasu. This little suffix does all the heavy lifting. It's what signals that you're making an observation, kind of like saying seems to want to.
Let's look at an example to make this crystal clear. 目は今、アイスを食べたがっています. Imagine you see your little sister staring longingly at the freezer. You're observing her behavior, right? So you use 食べたがって imasu to say she seems to want to eat ice cream. You're not in her head, you're just describing what you see. And here's another one. 彼は今日帰りたがっています. Maybe your coworker keeps glancing at the clock, packing up his desk way too early. His actions are screaming that he wants to go home. You're inferring his desire from these observations, which makes tagatte imasu the perfect fit.
So, that's how you talk about what you see. But what if someone just comes right out and tells you what they want? For that, we need a totally different structure, one that's specifically for reporting what someone said.
Now, the structure here is actually very literal. You use that familiar tai form, but you embed it within the phrase to itte imashita, which means they said that. This makes it absolutely clear that you aren't assuming anything, you're simply reporting their words.
For example, 太郎さんは来月中国へ行きたいと言っていました. In this case, Taro explicitly told you about his travel plans. You're just relaying his statement. The key here is that you're directly reporting an expressed desire you heard from him.
Okay, to really nail this down, let's put these forms side by side. This comparison is going to highlight the difference in context between observing something and reporting it. As you can see in the table, those first two sentences use tagatte imasu because the desire is being observed. You see it. The third sentence, though, uses tai to itte imashita because Taro's desire was reported. It really all comes down to this. One is based on sight, and the other is based on sound.
So after going through these different forms and examples, what's the one core rule you really need to remember? Let's distill it all down to the most important takeaway.
Here it is. The most crucial point is to always ask yourself, how do I know this? If your evidence is visual, if you see it in their actions, use tagatte imasu. If your evidence is auditory, if you heard it straight from their mouth, use tai to itte imashita. And that leads us to one final thought. Keeping this rule in mind, how would you say, my friend wants to go to Japan? Which form would you choose? The answer, of course, depends entirely on where you got that information. Did you see them looking at travel brochures for hours? Or did they actually tell you? Making that distinction, that's the key to sounding truly natural.